The realtor and their lender were not transparent, and they did not share with them that they were going to have a monthly payment for their home being their interest and their principal. A home equity loan is very different from a HELOC. Make sure you're doing your research with whatever route you go. One of them is going to be a rate term refinance. With the cash out refinance, you don't have any secondary liens. What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Living in El Paso, Texas. And with that being said, today I want to talk to you about something that has been asked constantly by our clients, and that is how to pull out equity from your home. Now, I'm going to simplify it in 4 easy to understand ways. There's very knowledgeable people on the internet that will very much so complicate things and make it very understandable for people that get it. So as your real estate advisor, I want to share this with you because these are strategies that have helped me also implement them when it comes to maybe taking money out to do a fix and flip, or maybe get something going with an Airbnb. Just tools that quite frankly have been amazing to know, and I want to share them with you. With that being said, I do have some notes. So if you look at me seen over here, that's the reason why I want to make sure I don't leave anything out. And with that being said, let's dive deep into the 4 key components you might want to consider when refinancing. Quick disclaimer, make sure you do your research. Make sure you're working with people that have your best interest in mind. I've seen it happen time and time again where people basically get forced into something based off pressure or more so just not understanding. So make sure you're asking these questions. Make sure you're really understanding who you're working with. Recently, we had a situation where this person worked with another agency, and the realtor and their lender were not transparent, and they did not share with them that they were going to have a monthly payment for their home being their interest and their principal, plus their taxes and insurance. So for those of you that are aware, you know that there's 4 components. For those of you that do not know, there's 4 components when you're buying your home. And if you're not aware of the taxes and the insurance, that could tremendously affect everything. Thankfully, we're getting a structure for them where it's a creative financing, so they can get out of that home and essentially not have foreclosure onto them. But these are the things that I share with you because, again, you want to work with people that are actually having your best interest in mind versus just trying to make a quick buck, because that's just not the right way to do it. And when you put that energy out, you get that energy back. So for those of you that know, I have my coaching for self-development, and I strongly believe that you should be that change that you want to see in others, and just pay it forward and be honest. So with that being said, I'm done with my rant. Let's dive deep. So the first one is going to be the 2 that mainly people get confused, okay? And they try and say, no, it's the same thing. It's actually not. So a home equity loan is very different from a HELOC. A HELOC is a home equity line of credit. Now, the best way I can explain the difference between the 2 is going to be that one of them, you are going to have an amortized actual fixed payment, being that whatever they tell you you're going to be paying, that's what you're going to pay. So typically, depending on the structure you get, it's between 5 to 7 years. Now, 5 to 10 years, sorry. Now, the thing with this is that when you get this type of product, you are going to borrow a certain amount, and that is it, right? So for instance, one of the key components here is that you get all the money up front, and they do have a lien on the property. We'll talk a little bit more about liens in just a second, but that is something that is very different from the actual HELOC. So the HELOC, it acts like a credit card. So if I tell you, hey, I'm going to let you borrow $20,000 from your property, that might sound great to you. However, on the first option, you just get to borrow that and that's it. It's a one and done. The second option being the HELOC, you actually get to borrow the $20,000, and if you repay me $10,000, now you have the other $10,000 to use in another situation. So that's really neat because if you know how to use it, it can be an asset to you. And I share this because, again, personally, I know what it feels like to invest for the first time in real estate and be very overwhelmed. For me, I had to learn a lot of the things, and I had to learn them the hard way. It cost me money, it cost me tears, and now I want to share things that have been very useful for me to understand so that you do not commit the same mistakes. Make sure you're doing your research with whatever route you go. A lot of the times people will go with one route and they don't keep in mind that they need to repay this. And I know for you, you're like, yeah, that's obvious. Some people, again, life happens and they'll just pay their mortgage and they start paying the other lien and you lose your property. So there's just little things that you want to make sure you're being very aware of, so that the last thing you have happening to you is somebody coming and knocking on your door and saying that you're being evicted. Now, the second two options that I'm going to talk with you, one of them is going to be a rate term refinance. The best way to understand this is that you essentially have now, let's say COVID happened, right? COVID allowed a lot of people to get phenomenal interest rates. So let's say there was somebody that was in the market that had a 5%, but then COVID happened and now they were offering a 1.5, a 2% interest rate. Those people were able to refinance their home and take advantage of the new interest rate, but they didn't want to take any money. They were like, no. I've worked really hard. I've dropped it to where I have it now. I don't want to borrow any more money, but I do want you to give me a better rate. So with that, they contact their lender gives them options, they pay their closing costs and all that good stuff. And basically at that point, you're able to now take advantage of the new rate that the market is giving you. The last one is a cash out refinance. So the difference between the one I just mentioned is that you actually cash out money from the cash out refinance. And you might be wondering, what's the difference between the first two that you mentioned and the cash out? Well, the thing with those first two is that they do have a lien. With the cash out refinance, you don't have any secondary liens. So with those two, you have liens in place, whether it's in first position or second position. And then the last one, it's no additional lien. It's all casted under one. And basically what happens is that they're saying, hey, we're going to refinance everything. Now you have one lien. And at the day that, closing comes about, if you decide to sell this property, we're getting paid our money. And now with the cash out refinance is that since they're doing a brand new product, they're not doing a second lien, they are going to say, okay, we're going to loan you from your appraised home valued at $400,000. You owe us $300,000. We're going to loan you $80,000 because remember, there's like $100,000 in equity at that point. We're going to loan you $80,000. Now we're going to do a new term, a new finance product, and we're going to actually loan you now the new balance is $380,000. So now you're paying the interest on that $380,000 and you were able to walk away with that $80,000. Now, for those of you that are a little unfamiliar with liens, the simplest way to understand it is basically the bank telling you, hey, I loaned you money. I want to protect my investment. Therefore, I have a lien on your property. So if you decide to sell your home, I am going to get paid first. That's why when you're selling a property, you'll have people that come and say, hey, let me run a net sheet for you, or let me see what you would be walking away with. That's what that means. Essentially, it's somebody coming and telling you, well, hey, after you pay your mortgage, this is how much money you would have, which is after you pay the lien, this is what you get to walk away with. So with that being said, I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. We have another video coming up that a lot of clients have also been requesting, and that's how to pay off your home sooner. I always share that tip with our clients, and I hope it helps. Typically, a lot of clients, when they implement it correctly, they pay their home off within 5 to 10 years, which is fantastic. So I will talk to you guys on the next one. With that being said, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you guys later.